Okay, so finally, we got 3-point perspective. In this lesson, we're building on the previous two that we've learned. I'll be starting again off with a simple explanation to give you a brief understanding of what this type of perspective is. Then we'll be moving on to a demonstration where you can follow along too, and then it'll be followed by a small exercise, again to strengthen your understanding of this concept. Let's just get straight into it. Okay, so 3-point perspective uses 3 vanishing points, as it mentions in the name. It's used to create more dramatic and atmospheric compositions. Also, this is kind of what your eye sees. Your eye, or the things you see in day to day, most of the time is in 3-point perspective, but the one that we'll be covering is a more dramatic way to give you an understanding of how this concept works. Okay, so let's just get straight into the demonstration where I'll show you how to create this grid and how you can use it in order to create some shapes. Okay, so let's get into 3-point perspective. It's very similar to what we learned in the previous lesson with 2-point perspective, but the additional change is, like you can see, an additional vanishing point. So up to now, all the lines that we've been creating with regards to the vertical axes have all been straight. So all the previous ones we've drawn, they've all been straight. What I'm referring to is these lines here. So all these lines so far that we've drawn, they've all been directly straight upwards. So what the third vanishing point does is it affects that line. Start off by drawing 2 vanishing points. So on a fresh piece of paper, I'm just going to show you. Firstly, before I go in, so the guides, as you can see here, as you can see with the grid, you can kind of see where all the lines are going. And like I said previously, this is a much more dramatic way. This is just kind of a way of explaining the concept to you, so you have a better understanding when you are creating your own, in your own drawings. So let's begin. So let's start off. We'll start off with 2 vanishing points at the top of the page, and then we'll add 1 at the bottom. And if you want to do want to use a ruler for this, feel free. So I'm just going to draw in a center line. And so what we'll be drawing is just another cube. So I'll be drawing this much lower down. So I'll draw my 2 points where I want my cube to be. And then remember just turning your page. And then we've got 1 here and then 1 here. So remember, like in the previous lessons, we're just going to join these up. And now, so like I said, we're not going to be drawing the lines vertical. We're going to mark where we want the points. So say this will be the top edge, and then this will be the top edge on this side. And then now we just draw these lines together. As like I said, the third vanishing point is mainly for the vertical axes. There we have that. And then like previously, we're just going to join this one up to this point and then this one up to this point. So what this looks like to me is it could be a skyscraper, it could be a tall building, and you're like say on a helicopter, or you're on a taller building and you're looking down at this. So this is a good way of creating the illusion of perspective on a 2D surface. Say for example we just flip this. So imagine we drew the points at the bottom and then we have the point at the top. Now it looks like that we're looking up at the object. So it could, like say, it could be on a glass table, or it could be like we're looking up from underground up at the building. So again, this is another good way. So when I did put the 2 guides on here in the resources, which you can find in the projects panel below, we've got the one where we're looking up and then the one where we're looking down. So wherever you put your vanishing point, like I said previously, so like say where the two initial points meet, these 2, so this is your horizon line. So if you put your third point above this, it's going to make it look like you're looking up at the object. And then say for example, if you put your vanishing point below the horizon point, it's going to be looking like you're looking down at the object. So when you are constructing drawings in the future, which we will get to later on in this class, it's important to know where you want the object to be, how you want it to look. So say for example, you're drawing a tissue box, or you're drawing a lamp, or you're drawing a character, anything. You want to make sure that it matches within these guidelines. So that's the main demonstration for 3-point perspective. Do you go in, spend some time? What we can do now is let's go in and draw some extra shapes just to kind of get used to the concept. So we've got our 2 vanishing points. 1 here, 1 here, and then instead of putting the one in the middle, we can put the other one, say here for example. So we're going to start off with our straight line. So when you are drawing this, you want to make sure that you are constructing that vertical line first. And we'll put our object around here-ish. So 1 here, 1 here. then we decide where I want the top of our object to be, and then remember all the vertical lines are now going to this line instead. So this gives it more of a off-center look, like one side is more warped than the other. But again, this is a more dramatic way of communicating this idea. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can do this without having used the guides, similarly like we did in the previous lesson. So one thing to remember is all the lines are going to be diverging. So the vertical axis and then either side of the shape. So one way to do it is, again, we're just going to start off with our vertical line. This one is always straight. And then now we're going to imagine that our vanishing points, we've got one here, and then one here. So using the concept that we did, so we're going to start off by drawing a straight line, and then I like to turn my page a little bit, just so the bottom line's diverging. And then same for this side, so I'm just going to draw a line here, and then turn my page, just so, again, the lines look like they're converging. So both of these are narrowing. If I was to extend these out, they go way off frame. And then now, again, just decide where you want the top to be, and then the top to be. And with this one, in the examples, we did do it a lot more exaggerated, just to communicate the concept. But now it doesn't have to be as much. So this is vertical, and I'm going to turn my page, and then draw that here, and then same again, and then turn my page the other way, just like so. And then again, these. So this is the line. So we're going to turn it a little bit, and then have it coming in, and then match the line, and then turn the page, and then have it going that way. So just by applying the concepts that we learn with the guides, this is a way in which that you can construct the shape without having to draw the guides every single time. And bear in mind, this is something that's taken me a while to learn, but just by understanding the concepts that we learn in this grid, it is going to help you. So say, here's an example of, say, a box, a shape, something that we can then further build into a drawing. So I said, if you extend these lines all the way out, the vanishing point is going to be somewhere over here. Same for this one, and then same for this one. So there's an understanding of the concept. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into a class project. Okay, so now for the exercise, we're going to be drawing an object of your choice. You can pick anything from around your room, and we can draw that. I'll be picking something from my room, and I'll be running you through and how I draw it on the 3-point perspective grid. And don't worry if you can't find an object around your room. Feel free to join in with the object that I'm drawing. Okay, so for the class project, what I want you to draw is a very simple chair. So I want to be looking down on this chair. So like we said, we're going to put our vanishing points at the top, and then one at the bottom. And then we're going to start off with a nice vertical line, just so this is where we want the chair to be. So now let's begin. So firstly, one thing that's important with this 3-point perspective is to kind of visualize the chair. So it's going to be similar to the example that we did here. So we want to start by initially creating a shape like this, which will be the seat. So I'm going to start by, okay, I want the seat to be around here. So let's start by joining these lines up. So then let's go in and decide. Okay, so there's the pan of the chair. So I'm going to go in and then again draw the straight lines to here. So there we've got the base of the chair. This is where we'll be sitting. And now, okay, so let's add some legs. So like I said, all the lines have got to converge to here. So I'm going to turn my piece of paper to match, again, the natural arc of my arm. And then let's draw some lines. And then, so I want our legs to be, let's mark out how fat we want our legs to be. And then want to decide how tall I want our legs to be. So say I want them to end here. So let's join this line up here. And then same on this side. So here's going to be the bottom of the chair. So let's add in our leg, just making it a little bit darker. So as you can see, we will need another surface on this side, because if we are looking at this chair, we're going to be able to see this side of the leg too. So let's figure out how thick we want this side. And then we're going to go in again and draw this line. Our legs, and now we can add the backrest to the chair. So I'm going to extend this line up, and then this line's already in for us. And then what we need to do is decide where we want the top of the chair to be. So I'm going to say about here, and then let's go in and draw a straight line. As you can see, it's slowly coming together. And there we have it. We've got a very simple chair which we've constructed based on the 3-point perspective that we just learned. If this is something that you do want to learn, then do feel free to practice this. But if you are finding it hard initially, then do use your vanishing points, which will give you a better understanding of how these lines and how these shapes work. So if you realise up to now we have been drawing a lot of the shapes with straight edges, but that's because in the next lesson to come, we're going to be moving on to how you can use this concept in order to create all the different shapes. Okay, so in this lesson we went through 3-point perspective, and in the previous ones we covered 1 and 2. These are all the basic understandings of all the different types of perspective and the grids that you can use. In the next lesson we're going to be building upon this and creating more complex shapes, using the knowledge that you've gained in the previous 3 lessons and applying it to create these shapes. I'll see you there.